everyone. Wow, usually we have to tell people to be quiet, like Jeff said, and because everybody's so busy networking, but it's really nice to have your attention. So I'd like to just ask you, who was at our first social media club event at the Pepper Jam last October? One, I think, maybe 3 or 4 people, yeah? At that time, that was like our first try. We didn't know if there really was any interest in a social media club in Chicago, and we decided to check it out. And it's been really amazing, thanks to all of you. So who here is new tonight? Wow, all right, round of applause for our newcomers. Thank you. Social Media Club meets about once a month. Our next meeting is going to be December 8th at CME Group. We're very excited, so watch for details on that. And boy, what can I say? It's been a fantastic year. I just would encourage you all to invite more people to our events. If you need any kind of information about social media or you'd like to know more, just ask one of us. You can always ask questions to @SMC Chicago. And I'd really like to thank our volunteers. Amy has been just phenomenal, and she is in charge of volunteers. So, Amy, do you want to tell them what we've got?
Hi, everybody. I'm Interactive Amy. I'm sure you may have seen some tweets about promoting this event. And thank you all for coming. If anybody would like to get more involved, either helping out at the events or helping to publicize on our communications committee, please feel free to send me a tweet, and I will be happy to include you with SMC events. Thanks all for coming, and look forward to seeing you at many more.
Okay. And where is Tim McDonald? Okay, Tim is backstage eating, which is the place to be. Oh, there he is. Come on out. And this is Tim. Let's everybody give a round of applause for Tim and Amy. Okay, so tonight's theme is social media and community. And wow, I think we've got one right here. We talked about the speakers we'd like to have. We had a wish list, and we got it. So it's very exciting. And community is becoming a real theme with social media. It always has been. You know, we've kind of seen that trending. But after going to Blog World last week, I really believe that the companies who have strong communities or members of communities are the ones that are really going to make a difference. And it could be a company, not-for-profit, or even a person. So I'm just really pleased with the way Social Media Club has grown. It's not really about me. It's about everybody here. And everybody who shares, our tagline is, if you get it, share it. So thank you for doing that. And I'd like to introduce Jeff Willinger, who's our president. Jeff has just been so phenomenal. He was there the first time, and he said, "I'll help you do this." And I said, "Seriously?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'll help you do this." And so Jeff gave us our first site, a nice site with David Armano in January, and Jeff has just been amazing. So Jeff is going to moderate our panel this evening. For those of you who don't know, Jeff is at JWilly on Twitter. He is the SharePoint guy. If there ever was a SharePoint guy, this is the SharePoint guy. And if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at WiredPRWorks. So thanks so much, and I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. He's going to introduce the panelists. We're going to have a panel discussion. If you have questions, we do have some question forms about social media and community. You can fill those out. And thanks so much. Here you go, Jeff.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, again, so great to see so many new faces here tonight. The one question that we actually did not answer is, how do you join Social Media Club? The good news is it's free, okay? If you are not on Facebook, get on Facebook. We have a great Facebook page, a fan page, and join the group there. And you could also follow us on Twitter, which is SMC Chicago, so it's a double C. Follow us on Chicago, SMC Chicago, and there's also a hashtag, also SMC Chicago. So again, thank you so much for coming out. Ron. I am really, really thrilled. When we came up with this theme tonight about community, there were 4 people that Barb and I kind of narrowed in on, and I am psyched that everybody was able to be here tonight. So I'm going to introduce each one of you, and then I guess you'll take a seat, and then we're going to do your own. I'm going to introduce you, then you're going to say a little something, then I've got some questions that I'm going to ask as well. And we do actually have a special guest tonight that was not on the Eventbrite, and I'll introduce her in a little bit as well. The first gentleman is Ramon DeLeon. Ramon is the formerly DPZ Domino's, and Ramon is the largest, Ramon started Domino's Pizza as a delivery driver. 23 years later, he is the operator of 6 Domino's franchises in Chicago. His passion and energy is contagious, He's, as of late, speaking all over the country on what he does in social media. So please welcome Ramon. Sarah Evans is president of Seven Strategies. She's also the community manager for Pitch Engine. Sarah, she's going to talk about what her niche is, but she's all about community as well, and basically what's good for the community, and she's going to kind of tell us what that's all about. You could give her a little round. Gerald Haman is someone that, kind of like the guy that you really should know, not like you should know anybody else here, but Gerald I've known for about 15 years. He runs a company called Solution People. You could follow him at Solution Man. Gerald founded Solution People in 1989 and Thinkubators.com in 1997. In 2005, Innovation Tool of the Month Club, he launched, he's just got a ton of websites. So you definitely follow him, introduce yourself to him. He's an adjunct professor of innovation at Northwestern University. He teaches University of Illinois in Chicago. And he's got over 125,000 members in his LinkedIn group. Please welcome Gerald Haman. Katy Lynch is the community manager for Where I've Been, called the travel industry's leading social networking application by the Wall Street Journal, a top 10 favorite Facebook application by TechCrunch, and one of Facebook's apps, Super Social Geeks, actually one of the Facebook apps, Super Social Geeks by Wired. Katy has got a great job that I know a lot of people would like to have, I admit it. Katy manages Where I've Been active community, the blog, the Twitter account Where I've Been. She's from Scotland. She's got a cool accent. Please welcome Katy. Before we get into the introductions, I'm going to have each of the panelists say a little blurb, but I want to introduce a very, very special panelist tonight, a guest, 9-year-old Olivia Haman. Olivia's going to talk about, literally, for real, she's going to talk about some social networking things that she does. She's 9 years old. She's Gerald's daughter. And Olivia, are you done with your pizza? Come on up. Come on up. Olivia Haman. Oh, you want to say it there? No, you could come and, why don't you come up here?
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is your turn. This is your turn. Right here. There you go. Right here.
Hi.
Don't forget.
So, over the past several years, I've watched her as she spent time on 2 primary websites that have taught her more about social networking and me more about social media than I ever imagined by watching her discover what she has. So, last night she put together these PowerPoint slides, and I'm going to be controlling the sync. So, go ahead, Olivia.
Okay. Hi, I'm Olivia Hammond, and I'm here to talk to you about Club Penguin and Webkinz, 2 online social networking clubs for kids. Webkinz. Why do I like it? Because I can be creative and make plays and videos using a setting on Webkinz. How many people use Webkinz? Over 60 million. Wow. Over 20 of my friends are on it. How often do I play on it? About every day. I have 43 Webkinz. Conversations on Webkinz. Club Penguin. How many people use Club Penguin? 90 million. What do I like about it? I can design my house and interact with other penguins. How else? Also, I can play lots of cool games. How often do I play Club Penguin? About twice a day. Conversations on Club Penguin.
Actually, if you could just note that this is a real conversation that she had with several of her friends and how they're chatting real time.
Webkinz info. Buy a stuffed animal. They range in price from $7 to $15. Go online to webkinz.com and use your feature code from your animal to register and create a home. You can create a house and become part of a community. There are many games to play and lots of users to chat with. You can also buy a membership. If you get a membership, you can do lots of extra things, plus you get a gift every month. Club Penguin info. Go online to clubpenguin.com and click Login. Then click Create an Account and create your penguin. Then you can play many fun games. You can even become a secret agent or a tour guide, although you need to be at least 45 days old. You can register a membership for $5.99 a month. When you register your membership, you can buy clothing, furniture for your house, and much more. You can reach me at my email address, hilivy101@gmail.com, and my website is welivetolaugh.com. Thank you.
Olivia will be available for questions a little bit later. Thanks, Olivia. That was awesome.
She's going to pass around some webcams for you to look at as well. So.
Yeah.
Please, no pizza on them, please. Wow, that's a lot of webcams.
I thought it's appropriate that someone here represents where we've been, because the last time I was in this building was for an innovation session about 15 years ago with Helene Curtis, and here we are at a whole new era. And when Jeff first called me up, I thought, how do I summarize what's been going on for the past 4 years of my life in about 5 minutes? So I've got a few slides. And the first thing I wanted to just point out is that during the past 4 years, I've been focused on helping people connect to be more innovative and creative. And that's resulted in millions of people being connected on LinkedIn. There's some interesting statistics on the next slide. So here's my history. I joined LinkedIn on February 2005, and since then, what I continue to do is I invited my past customers and current customers to join the group. And as they continue to go ahead and get involved, I would invite new and prospective customers to join. And then over the years, as I've spoken at different conferences and given workshops and corporate events, I put my email address out there, solutionman@solutionpeople.com, and I said, if you'd like to get some help from me, join LinkedIn and send a request to me. And that then led to thousands of people connecting up. And after that, I then went ahead and started some groups. And one of the major breakthroughs on LinkedIn was the formation of groups. And I ended up forming several groups that were all very focused on what my customers were interested in, and that is the subject of innovation. And all those groups then ended up continuing to interact with each other and connect with each other and socialize with each other. And the website for my group was a blog that I started called innovatorsdigest.com, which means that the people from the group would have discussions based upon what was printed on innovators.com. And now we have over 35,000 people that have subscribed to that newsletter blog. Next slide. So here's some interesting statistics on LinkedIn, which some of you may be aware of, but it's got now over 48 million professionals, and it's growing by 1 million a month. There's a new member that joins once every second, or 60 per minute. It now has members in 200 countries. There's over 18,000 or 18 million business owners on it. There's 750,000 senior executives, and there's a lot of statistics that you'll see. The demographics are quite interesting. And there are 425,000 groups on LinkedIn. The data that's been interesting to me has been the groups that are focused on innovation. And if you do a group search, you'll find that there are over 2,900 groups of people that are interested in innovation that have all got together on LinkedIn. And so here are the 33 groups, and I've tried to apply innovation. And so I've tried to apply innovative thinking to the brand management of the groups, and anybody that wants to find one of our groups can easily identify by the unique purple logo that's on it. You can tell that purple is one of my favorite colors. And you'll see there's a variety of focused areas ranging from healthcare to sales and selling to marketing to green and sustainability. Next slide. And so about 1,000 people per week join these groups. And when Twitter started to become pretty favorable, I said, I'm going to go ahead and start a group. And we now have over 11,000 people on the LinkedIn group that share content and information about how to maximize Twitter. What's been interesting for me personally, because candidly I didn't know a lot about Twitter, my main educational source has been reading the conversations and discussions that people post. And I posted one question on there. It was one of the first posts. And that question was, what advice do you have for people that are just getting started with Twitter? You can see there's 200 posts on it. And I feel that there's enough great ideas that anybody for the first time could go there and learn how to make the most of it. And so the largest group that I have, it doesn't surprise me, is that these are people that are in marketing and public relations and word-of-mouth marketing. It's now the 11th largest group among the 425,000 groups. There's 69,000 members. Within the next week, we will break the 70,000 mark. Next slide. And of the 425,000 groups, we've got 10 in the top 500. There's only 1,000 groups that have more than 1,000 members. And one thing that I've found, it's been a really easy communication tool. Last week I was in Detroit and I spoke at a conference and did a workshop there, and then somebody on LinkedIn sent a testimonial and recommendation for me unsolicited, and here's one that just went up today. And so it's a good way to go ahead and build your brand by having people talk about you and make recommendations for you as well. So what's been fascinating for me, since we are in the innovation business, we do training and corporate facilitations and big meetings and events with hundreds and thousands of people focused on innovation, is what we've done is we've taken each of the main social networking sites and the most popular sites and created techniques to use them for innovative thinking. For example, Twitter, we have a technique called Twitterating, where we've been able to generate thousands of ideas in a very short amount of time using a brainstorming exercise that's actually similar to, I want to make a point that if you have questions for me or the other speakers, there's these pads of light bulb, or I should say question sheets. Go ahead and write them down for us, but we use the same exercise when we do Twitterating as well. And so I primarily have made a conscious decision to only focus on LinkedIn because of the business focus, and that's where our clients are. But recently we've started to work with Twitter, and you can see where we've been using that. I made a post today just to let them know we're going to be here tonight. And so just about 9 months ago got started with Facebook as well, and 2 weeks ago set up our first fan page, which is on the next page. And what I've been using is these different social networking sites to drive communication among the fans for our business and the fans and people that really appreciate the subject of innovation. So I want to thank you all for spending some time with us tonight, and please write down any questions because you probably won't get all of the questions answered tonight. And are we taking questions now, or are we going to take? Okay. So the reporter in the front of the room had a question right away, but Ron.
I'm not a reporter.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. And so, next.
Thanks, Gerald. Right, the format tonight is each one of the panelists is going to say about 5-10 minutes worth of information, and then we're going to do questions and answers after. Next up is Katy Lynch from Where I've Been, who has almost as good an accent as I've got.
Hello, first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me. This is actually my first social media club event that I've been to, so it's really an honor to be here. Thanks a lot. Yep, I am Katy Lynch, and I am the community manager for Where I've Been. So my job is to basically manage the communities on Facebook, Twitter, the subscribers on our YouTube, and people who love our Flickr photos. So one thing that basically, when I first started working for Where I've Been last year, I didn't really know where to start because I'd never really been immersed into social media before. But our CEO, Michael D'Alessandro, basically implanted these 3 words into my head and everyone else's heads at the company. And they are always be open, always be social, and always be relevant. And I've really used these 3 words, open, social, and relevant, to shape my communities on all of these social networking sites. So I'd like to give you some tips and basically break them down one by one for you all. Accountability, transparency, and honesty. One thing that Where I've Been always strives to do is always be honest with our members, especially on Facebook and Twitter, where we have our most members. Where I've Been definitely has no hidden agenda, and so whenever we come out with new features or products on our site, we always like to engage our community and let them know that we've released new features. Always be social. We always like ask questions, seek answers, and store feedback. So one thing that I notice about a lot of companies on Twitter is it's all about me, and it's less about you. So one thing I strive to do is I always like to ask lots of questions to our community. And since we're a travel company, they're usually travel-related companies, like, what's your favorite beach? Or what feature would you most like to see on Where I've Been? Or, hey, we're coming out with an iPhone application. What would you love to see from our company? Share and recommend. Another thing that companies don't do enough of is embrace their community and share with their community. So say if you have a blogger who really wants to promote their blog, what I do is I take that and I promote it for them by retweeting their message on Twitter, just to get their good word out there and show that I'm not only promoting myself and larger companies and our competitors, but I'm also promoting local bloggers as well. Creativity and originality. I'm very, very experimental when it comes to Facebook and Twitter. I like to try loads of new things all the time, whether it's giveaways, contests, asking questions, trivia questions about travel, anything. And that's one way to really, really engage with your community, is to just be creative and give them something to talk about. Also, I guess going along with asking questions and seeking answers and storing feedback goes along with the talk with users, not at them. You want to embrace your community, as I said before, and not just talk to them about your company initiatives. You really want to know what they are saying about your company. And relevance. So the biggest thing with relevance is you need to know your target audience. There are so many companies out there that are too busy with quantity over quality. So they have 100,000 followers, but only 10 of them are really interested in them. Whereas as quality, you could have only 1,000 members, but all 1,000 of them talk about you. So you really need to know your target audience and make sure that you're talking directly to them and that they're talking about you. As far as utilizing hashtags, since I work within the travel industry, I tend to sway more towards hashtags that are relevant to me and my community. So I would use hashtag travel or hashtag airlines or hashtag airports, and I would direct all of my attention to the people that are using those hashtags. Next slide, please. So here are some examples. This is actually a screenshot of our Facebook application page. And as you can see at the top, it says, we've all heard the saying numerous times, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Las Vegas? And it gives a link to one of our giveaways. This is something that I do a lot on Facebook. I like to ask the community what they think about a certain destination, a featured destination, so in this case, Las Vegas. And then I like to give an extra little incentive to talk about that location by providing a contest or a giveaway, like, hey, you respond to this, you could also be in the running to win a trip to Las Vegas. The second example would caption the picture. So every Friday we do something on Where I've Been called Caption the Pic Fridays. And what it is it just adds a little fun element to Where I've Been instead of just talking all about travel, travel, travel. So what we do is we have this, and it allows people to basically talk and have a little bit of fun on Where I've Been, and it also gives them a chance to win Where I've Been swag, which is always cool. Next slide, please. Another initiative I have, and this is with my community on Twitter, is that I'm a huge follower, and I'm sure many of you here are as well, huge followers of Follow Friday on Twitter. The only drawback about Follow Friday, I feel, is that there's so much traffic coming on, you can never really direct your attention to your own industry. So what I did was I saw a gap in the market and I created Travel Tuesday, which is basically where anyone who's in the travel industry, whether you're a small blogger, big blogger, small travel company, big travel company, you can talk all about travel on this certain day. And as you can see, I actually created this in spring of 2009. And the cool thing about it is it narrows down. I can basically get all of my community in one place talking about this certain hashtag, and they're all talking about travel. So as you can see, some people are promoting their own blogs. Some of them are doing a very similar concept to Follow Friday, where they're doing recommendations, as you can see the second to last post. Some people are giving shout outs to their friends, and they're all using the hashtag Travel Tuesday. So they all basically bond and can recommend each other. And the last slide, please. And so what I thought I'd do, just to end this, is to just give you a couple sites that I use personally to monitor my communities on Facebook and on Twitter. Well, actually, primarily Twitter. So I'm sure you've probably heard of a few of these. There's co-tweet, TweetDeck, TwitPic, Social Inf, and where's the hashtag. A couple of these that I'd really like to highlight is what the hashtag. This is a really cool tool if you want to monitor what people are saying about certain topics. So say I wanted to see how many people are talking about Travel Tuesday, you type that in, there's a little search box, you type it in, and you can see everybody that's mentioned Travel Tuesday, all the contributors and what their rankings are, so depending on how much they use the hashtag and how little they use it. It also monitors who put links to their blogs or their own websites, or who just retweeted other people's information. Another one I'd really like to highlight, and this is a really cool one, is co-tweet. And what co-tweet is it's basically a site. Right now it's free, but apparently they're going to charge soon, so hop on that one straight away. But it's basically a site where you can monitor all of your traffic. So you log in, and it's set up almost like an inbox, so you can see all the conversations and all the direct messages of anyone who's ever talked about you. So my screen name is @whereI'veBeen, so I can see everything that anyone's ever said about me, and I can also set up scheduled tweets for the future. So those are two really good ones. Also TweetDeck, I'm sure you guys have heard of that, or you have it on your iPhones, is you can also monitor multiple accounts. So if you have 5 accounts, you can see what everyone is saying about your accounts. And that's actually all I have. So thank you.
Thanks, Katy. I apologize. 2 of our main sponsors for tonight I did not recognize, and a few people asked me, hey, where are we tonight? We're in Kimball office. All these fancy chairs that you're sitting in and these fancy desks that you're sitting in, that's what Kimball does. They are a furniture manufacturer and one of our proud sponsors. And one of our other sponsors is Garrett Popcorn. You could follow them. Actually, Kimball you could follow at Kimball Office, and Garrett Popcorn you could follow at Garrett Popcorn. So I've got a bunch of popcorn here. Come on, and pass it around. I'm not just I've got more.
So hello everyone, I'm Sarah Evans on Twitter. I'm at PR Sarah Evans. I'm actually really happy to be following Katy, because what I wanted to talk about was not so much how I build community, but staying along the lines of talking about community, some really cool things that can happen once you've already established a great community online. I actually used social networking sites and online communities to build out my credibility in the PR world and kind of set myself apart from everyone else who's doing what I'm doing, so that as of 1 month and 3 weeks ago, I was able to leave my full-time job and start my own company. Yeah, so it's really exciting. It's called 7 Strategy, and I do PR and new media consultation, and I also work for Pitch Engine, which is a social media release platform. I'm the community manager for them. But really, I just wanted to talk about my passion tonight, and I'm happy to talk to you afterwards and answer any questions you have about specific tools. But if Liz Strauss is in the room, I don't know if she is up. Oh, she's downstairs. Well, she said something when I was at a conference a few months ago that I just loved, and she said, aren't we getting a little precious about our tools? And I think that was just really telling, because it's great to learn how to use these, but it might not always be the same tools there. So building community is really important, and then sustainability. So if Twitter went away tomorrow, where else are you connecting with people? Okay, so that's my spiel with that. So I want to talk to you about what happens. One of my passions is nonprofit and the whole concept of social good and how you can use social media for social good. So I'm going to tell 2 stories. If somebody needs to elbow me to tell me to stop talking, that's fine. I also acknowledge that I'm a fast talker. So my first story is Crisis Overnight. This is something that I worked on. I'm from the suburb Elgin, if there's any other Elginites in the crowd. Our community crisis center came to me several months ago, and they were about to shut their doors. And they said, well, I asked them, I said, well, how much money do you need to stay open? And they said, oh, $150,000. And I said, okay, in how much time? They said 3 weeks. And we've tried everything else. The state funding isn't coming through. We've used up all of our cash on hand. two people told us that we should call you, that maybe you could help, and I was like, oh crap, who told them to call me? I didn't know what was going to happen. The executive director said, I'm desperate, I will try anything, we'll do whatever you tell us to do. And she said in the past, many years ago, they had invited reporters to stay overnight and then generate media coverage, and hopefully that would then generate some support. And I said, what if we switch it up a little bit, and I stay overnight at the crisis center, and I donate my online presence for 12 hours, and maybe see what we can make happen. So as I go through this story quickly, we didn't use any traditional media outreach, which was really my bread and butter coming up in the world, and utilized my social networks. So staying overnight at the crisis center was something that definitely changed my life, and I got to experience what it was like to be a resident there. I got to go through a full rape kit, what a woman would go through. I got to speak to two of the residents, one who didn't speak Spanish, and we had a translator there with us. So I was crying and typing, but I documented the entire evening on Twitter, on Facebook, on my blog, on YouTube, and on another video platform site called Seismic. And that first night, we generated $40,000 of people who were just giving. And I was overwhelmed. And when I got up the next morning, because eventually I just passed out, I didn't make it all night. I was really tired and overwhelmed. But I didn't give up. I thought, okay, 40 grand in one night, that's pretty amazing. People were donating from all over the United States and Canada. And one of the other cool things was there were a whole lot of people in the community that didn't use anything online, but they thought it was such a cool concept. They were coming down to the crisis center in droves and donating until like 9 p.m. that night. So there were so many things that went into that working, and people have asked me, I'm going to tell you the result in a minute, but people have asked, can I take what you did, take that concept and repackage it and use it for my social service agency or for my nonprofit? And the answer is no, because it was my network, it was a sense of urgency, and it had really strong messaging, and it had a beginning and an end with an end result. But after that night, I couldn't have even expected what would happen. For the next 3 weeks, donations came rolling in, and by the deadline, we had raised $161,000. So it gives me chills, actually, every time I talk about it. Yes, and they're still open right now. They're still waiting on some funding, and they've got other... It also brought out other people. There's a man who's going to do a cross-country run and just raise money for the crisis center. It just... All these other people came out of the woodworks to help them, and we're talking about ways we can engage. Now, all these new donors that they got, they said they wanted a new target donor age. They got it all. Everything they could have hoped for, that happened. So that's one story. The next one, if you're all on Twitter, did you see that top trending hashtag this past week, Beat Cancer? Yeah. You all see? Awesome. So I partnered with a company called Be Everywhere, and we came up with this idea before Blog World to generate some awareness. It's Cancer Awareness Month. We said, let's generate some more awareness for cancer, raise some money. Came together pretty quickly. I can't take credit for the idea. It was brought in kind of on the back end on it. And what happened was we had the people who were involved, whether it was the sponsors or the key people who participated, all had really strong communities and could connect all the right people at the right time really quickly. So Radiant 6, which is also a Chicago-based social media monitoring agency, I'm friends with Amber Naslin, who is their community manager. I told her about the idea, and she said, okay, we'll donate all the tracking for this campaign. They got on board. Someone else had a relationship with eBay and PayPal, and they said, we'll donate 1 penny for every mention. The Guinness Book got involved, and we said, this world record doesn't exist, so whatever happens after this, you're now setting a world record for the most online mentions of a phrase, which was beat cancer. And so that, again, was all about the right people at the right time coming together to get the campaign in order. And then we picked a launch pad of Blog World, because where else are you going to get all these online awesome people in one place who have really large networks who we can say, tweet beat cancer, post on Facebook beat cancer, and all of these people did it. It was built into all of the panels, panel discussions at all of the parties. We were able to get the word out really quickly. And so in a 48-hour span, we had something like 204,000 mentions and raised $70,000 for cancer, for the American Cancer Society and 4 other cancer nonprofits. So you can see why it's so exciting, because you actually get to see it's like an energy rush for me when we do this. So Thank you for letting me take time to talk about my passion and what community can do, and have a great rest of your time.
Thanks, Sarah. That was excellent. Next up, I was going to say I saved the best for last, but actually everybody's been great. Totally looking forward to seeing Ramon. Ramon, again, from Domino's. If you like the pizza, make sure you say... There is more pizza later. Only if you finish everything that you've got there. All right. Next up is Ramon. Looking forward to hearing what he's got to say. Beyond social media. I like it.
Beyond, going beyond.
Right on. Cheers, bro.
Thank you.
Okay.
This seriously is, it's beyond an honor to be speaking to the group here because, you know, like was said earlier, 23 years ago, I started delivering pizza just as many of you have probably run across a delivery guy, either, you know, whatever kind of food, somebody comes in up to your door, and you don't know the story behind the face of whoever rings your doorbell. And so many pizzas, so many deliveries here in the city, good, bad, you know, weather. And after 3 years of doing this and being scared at the true cost of education during the freshman year at UIC, I decided, you know what? I've been delivering pizzas for 3 years. I think it's time to get a bigger chunk of this and see what I can really do with it. So fortunately enough, you know, I've had a storied career, being able to manage a couple of stores and had the opportunity to supervise a region here in Chicago. And it's also taken me outside the U.S. I worked for 4 years in Mexico as a consultant for the corporation, where we opened up over 200 stores. I've done some consulting in continuing outside the border in Mexico and Brazil, Peru, and Australia, and headed to the UK the first week of November. But what I do want to share with you is, what I like to say is, how did I get here? Not so much my position and the success that I've had in the business, but how did I get here to this podium to be able to share with you what I call going beyond using social media? You need to know sometimes, you know, how did I get started? For many people, if you're doing something within social media, how did you get started? Was last month, last year, or 2 years ago? Or when you mentioned the LinkedIn, it was in 05. For me, it was in 98, really. I love to say that I was using the tools of social media before that word even existed. And what am I talking about? Back in 98, I was watching how you can order a book online. I said, you got to be able to order a pizza online. A third-party vendor, which is funny because they're right down the street across you from the East Bank Club, quickorder.com, approached us and said, you know what, we have this way where customers can order pizzas online. And I'm like, we so need to talk, guy. So we launched it at DePaul University, and one of our very first customers, it was my nephew, Andres, from needgraphics.com. As a student at DePaul, he helped us spread the word that we had online ordering available for Domino's Pizza. We launched online ordering 7 years before Domino's Pizza did as a corporation at Domino's.com. So just think, when you're playing with a technology and something that's 7 years ahead of the game. I mean, that's like almost if we were all on Twitter and today was Twitter's first day. I mean, that's some powerful stuff. And I could just see the excitement of the people testing the system. Does it work? But at the same time, I noticed a disconnect because I was losing that face-to-face or over the phone talking to the consumer. So what did we do? We started to use AOL Instant Messenger. AOL screen name NU Domino's. So that if anybody still wanted to connect with me, I'm tethered to my mobile device at that time, just launch on there and you can find me. So as we went forward with that, and especially 2004, 2005 was an eye-opener at Northwestern when I heard students talking about, how did I have groups, Facebook groups, if I wasn't on Facebook? And I knew absolutely nothing what they were talking about. I searched Facebook, and yeah, I saw a little bit about it, but it was closed. I didn't make it that far in college. Remember, I dropped out after the first quarter at UIC, so I never had the .edu email address. So then I saw that students were fans of our product and had these groups. And I said, you know what? Since I cannot be a part of it, I am going to crack that wall. How? By events that we would be a part of. And again, working with my nephew at needgraphics.com. You'll notice these photos. In the lower left-hand corner, using Photoshop blurring, it's got a Domino's Pizza logo. Bottom right-hand corner, it's got my nephew's logo, needgraphics.com. We have a static page up, NU Domino's, and we would tell students, tell people, hey, relive today, go to NU Domino's and swipe these photos and post them on Facebook. And what would they do? They would go in and do just that. They were at 72 DPI, so we didn't have anything to worry about. Then within the photo streams, we would put JPEGs of offers. And it was beautiful. Next slide. Again, I always say, how do we get there and how do we get here? I've always made myself accessible. Upper left-hand corner now, I'm a corporate sponsor of UIC Flames Athletics, my 4th year, and to think college dropout now, we do this 4th year, but still, I mingle, I interact a lot with students. And again, these are just examples, because we're talking about communities. If anybody went to Northwestern, has got anything to do with Northwestern, the word Dillo Day probably rings a bell in your mind. Bottom left-hand corner is the pizza line to get pizza from Dillo Day. And just making myself accessible and letting people get to know, get to mingle with, get to talk to the face behind the logo has been very powerful for me. I'm constantly searching for events, and that's how we ended up being a food sponsor at SMC Chicago. And Jeff, thank you very much for allowing us and opening up these doors for us. Now with Facebook, what do students do? They're the ones taking the pictures, they're the ones posting them, and now they tag me on the pictures. So now it's a reverse thing. I love that bottom right one with the obviously it said I love the Teaks, a fraternity. But this happens every single week. Not a week goes by. There's some of them I got to take down, though. But it's really powerful. Now, what happens with students? No matter how much fun you have in school, you're not going to stay there forever. So if you manage and you work with the groups and the communities on Facebook, categorize your friends. Because what you want to do is you want to know who your friends are years from now. And if I wouldn't have did that, I would never remember that Matt Ridd, who, along with Ben Parr from Mashable, were RAs at Northwestern. And this way, when you run into them and you follow things like, oh, I remember we connected from before. And then as it goes, not only goes forward, can I get this whole LinkedIn thing, but we're also now doing the same thing with Facebook groups at high school. So that when kids turn 13 years old and you got 4 years to go, and you join Facebook, one of the first things that I want you to do is I want you to join the Domino's Pizza fan page and get exposed to us. And then that starts a whole new series of how we interact with our customers. Word of mouth. I love that one. Ramon, DeLeon, you make me want to sell your pizzas. I love your energy. Matt Ridd, Ramon, I was an RA at Northwestern a while back. You were a legend amongst the Res Life staff. A true Renaissance man. Next slide. Social media uniqueness. Some of you have been to our stores where I have what I call my Twitter wall, and I highly encourage people to stop by. It's got a little photo op thing, tagging off, kind of like if you're at a theme park where there's a photo op place. And I tell people, things to do while you're waiting for your pizza. Order this side item. Post it on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Update your status. If you're playing Fourscore, become the mayor of this place. Let the world know that you are a Domino's Pizza. And it happens every single time. And I know there's a few of you in here that have been at 3103 North Clark or my store down at Canal and snapping photos. This is another one, Maura Hernandez, who would have been here, which is teaching class. This is our media wall down at Roosevelt and Canal. These types of things don't happen at other places. They don't happen with my competitors. So that's why when people come to Chicago, and yes, you think pizza, and you're thinking deep dish, and you're thinking all of that, but if you go on the radar and you think pizza and you think social media, Domino's Pizza way throws those analytics off. This is something very powerful with Leah Jones when we were helping her raise money. What do we do? We put a poster in the window that she was going to be our guest pizza maker during your Mashable event. So what we did was we said that we would give her $5 for every order that she brought in as incremental business. In 2 hours, using her network, she brought in 40 additional orders. So we have this large dummy check for $200, and then we make a parody video with needgraphics.com trying to go deposit it in the ATM. Leah uses that photo as her Facebook profile for 3 weeks, and so constantly, I'm constantly creating a buzz. Bottom right-hand corner, when I was tweeting as DPZ Ramon, that's with Colleen, the community manager of Yelp. Love the people that can talk to you. Don't be afraid of anybody. My goal is to be the pizza guy to know in Chicago, to be real, accessible, and transparent. This is Grant Park. We had to make 600 pizzas. We partnered with National Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So what do I do? If I want to get to be known, how about my logo with my Twitter ID walking around talking to people? You know, I mean, you mean there's so many tools of social media out there. Let me tell you, there's absolutely no reason to be tearing it up, nailing it, crushing it, whatever you want to call it, because it's like every single day I feel like I'm at a crossroads. There's no more sitting on the fence. There's no more deer, a deer in the headlights type things. Because I mean, the tools that got mentioned today, you can nail it. All you got to do is just get up and do it. Again, I'm the pizza guy to know here in Chicago. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Wow. That's about all I could say is wow, from Olivia to Ramon. 4 or 5 great presentations. I am blown away. I'm going to open it up for questions. Actually, Olivia, why don't you come up here real quick? Olivia Haman. For those of you that were a little bit late, Olivia is a 9-year-old daughter of Gerald, and she is a social media person herself, using Club Penguin and Webkins. I'm going to open up for questions. I've got a microphone. Maybe Barb could run around. You could ask anybody a question. I also have got a list of questions in case there's none out there. And in the meantime, I also have some more popcorn from one of our sponsors, Garrett Popcorn.
Are we taking questions?
Yes, we're taking questions.
Okay. Gerald.
This is Ron May.
Yeah, he knows. Maybe the rest. Okay. Anyway, I attended your 2-day, was it 2-day class or a 1-day class?
A 2-day class.
2-day. I attended that a few years ago. Found it very interesting. We went through a lot of stuff. It was certainly not a quickie 1, 2, 3 deal. Now, today you get up, and it seems to me like you're just the latest guy following the herd off the cliff. Oh, we have 11,000 people. Your program, your innovation stuff is not something you can mass market, mass teach. It requires a very, remember the groups you had in your program? They were small groups, and it requires a lot of intensive work and training. Now, you made a very revealing admission in your talk, which of course I will highlight in my report, that in effect, Twitter and Facebook are irrelevant to your business. LinkedIn is relevant, but the Twitter, Facebook stuff, you never connected the dots because you said, oh, well, our clients are really more LinkedIn, but we're just sort of meandering our way into Twitter. 2 questions. How can you justify Twitter and Facebook on a purely business level? Secondly, how does this mesh with what would appear to be a pretty intensive type of program, and how can you have 11,000 people talking about innovation?
Well, the experience...
Actually, that's good for now, but we're going to spread the wealth.
You're right. When you took the workshop at the Thinkubator several years ago, that was before I was even on LinkedIn. And when people attend our innovation workshops, they have what I would call a community experience of learning together and developing relationships. And I found they have a hunger to want to continue connecting with people. And they can't always come to the Thinkubator to do that. And so in the past 20 years, we have over 100,000 people that have been through the workshop that you attended. And thousands of those people on their own have joined these groups to continue communicating. So the theme tonight of a community and communicating with the social networks, I think, ties in very well. Our customers did ask for it, and that's why we went ahead and found out how to do it. I definitely agree that for our customers that LinkedIn has been a very effective and valuable tool for them. I made a conscious decision just to focus on LinkedIn for the first 4 years. And it's only been during the past year where we started to explore Facebook and Twitter. So I don't feel that I'm an expert on either of those 2 medias yet, but we are noticing there's certainly an interest out there. And so I wouldn't say that I was a follower and jumped on the bandwagon. In the innovation training and in the innovation consulting space, I think we've been the leaders of doing that, and most of our competitors like IDEO and some of the other competitors like Accenture are still trying to catch up in that area.
Remember the cake decorating company?
Yes, Wilton Industries.
How did they get anything out of this?
Well, the cake decorating company that attended the workshop with you has won numerous awards because of actually their online training that they worked on at the workshop. And they've got actually several 100,000 people that are following them on Facebook, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question, Stephanie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Saffron, and I'm told to say my Twitter ID, so I'm Steph in the City. My question is for Olivia. Olivia, how long have you been on the internet and doing some of these web communities, and what percentage of your class would you say are on it and probably no more than their parents?
Oh, this thing is loud. Well, most of my friends are on it, so yeah.
What age did you start at?
6, I think, or something around there.
And what percentage do you think know more than their parents who are doing it?
100.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said 100.
So you think you're already more advanced than most of us in this room?
Yeah.
Wow.
More questions. Barb is, oh, there we go.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank all the panelists. I really learned a lot from every single person who came up and spoke. It was very educational just to hear the variety of voices. My name is Rochelle Mon. This is my first night at tonight's function. I'm very impressed. I definitely am joining, and I'm going to be going to all the events. This is exactly what I've been looking for. So my question is, I do know that in Facebook that a lot of high school students use it before going to college to check out their potential roommates, and they would actually submit to colleges, I'd like to change my roommate based on their profile, et cetera, et cetera. So some of you may already know this, some of you may not, but I thought that was very interesting to see how the social aspect of Facebook is impacting people's educational careers. That said, and this is an open question to the panel, do you foresee, or if you had to look 10 years in the future, do you see the lines blurring between your professional networks that you establish on LinkedIn as well as your Facebook networks that you establish socially?
That's a good question. Sarah or Katy? I'm just guessing because you guys are, a little bit younger than Ramon.
So everyone knows what Facebook was originally developed for. It was for college students to connect, and that's before it was opened up to the general population, the rest of us. So I think what you're getting at is that crossover between the professional and personal boundaries, and I've made a conscious choice to combine that. It's been a very awkward experience. I mean, it's not like I knew, here's what I talk about, here's what I don't talk about, but especially on Facebook, I let more people in. It's probably the place I'm the most active in talking about people, and frankly, I think now, if there would have been Facebook when I was in college, I might not have a job. Because you don't know what people are putting out there. I mean, I see pictures now of my younger cousins where I've called them and said, you should probably take that down because 5 years from now, that's going to come back and haunt you. And I think a lot of people are struggling with that same question: is how do I balance this professional side of myself and this personal side? Some people will have 2 Facebook pages, one that they use for their professional, one that they use for their personal. In 10 years from now, I don't. Do you mean people who are using it now, what will happen to them in 10 years, or us in 10 years? I think what are people going to do? I think it's going to be a personal choice. Some people decide, like my husband, he will never get on a social network. So for him in 10 years, it's not even going to matter, but I think it's going to be a personal choice of how you use the networks. But like I said, it's not been easy for me, and it's something I struggle with, of what not to talk about, making the choice to allow online friends in with my friends and family.
Katy?
Actually, I just wanted to confirm something about the question. So I actually can't see you, so if you might want to stand up, sorry. Oh, hello. Oh yeah, were you confirming? I was just confirming, sorry, whether it was if it was me personally, if it's something that I'm posting about the company on my Facebook, is that what you were trying to get at? So people from where I've been can see what's being said, and my friends can see what's being said?
If you have a question, why don't you come up here so that the panel can see you? I think that would be better because then you can talk to them eye to eye. So here you go.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Hi,
Thanks,
guys.
Michelle.
I just wanted to get your thoughts as far as what you see, trending in the future. If you think that the lines between folks, like their professional networks and their personal networks, if that'll become blurred and eventually will just be a person's network. Their brand is their network, which would encompass both. That was my question. Just kind of, what would you, if you had to forecast today, what are your thoughts on that possibly happening in the future?
I guess I have to really say the same thing as Sarah, is that for me personally, I mix the two, my social, my professional and my personal, just because, I guess working in the travel industry, I always cover topics that resonate really well with our community, especially fun topics that people within my network can join in on. So, and it almost brings my professional company together with my personal company, and then all of them just end up talking to each other, which is pretty cool.
Hi, my name is Sammy Raghib. I'm a local entrepreneur in the video game space. So my question is actually to the panel. Since we're working on a video game social platform, it tends to be more male-dominated. And to each of you, especially Ramon or pizza's probably more, I think, male-oriented than female-oriented. So when it comes to your posts and the way that you interact in social media, how do you manage gender tone? Right? How do you keep things even keel so that you don't have 80% of your listeners female and 20% male? And how do you make pizza interesting for females? And or is that something that you just spend a whole lot of time really or do you
Actually, his biggest fan is right next to you.
or do you I guess the question is really, how do you address that, or do you not spend any time really at it at all, and it just kind of works itself out? So
the way I handle it, actually, I use, I don't want to say necessarily that I use customers, but it's more the networks. And I always say that women share more than men. And I always say, if you don't believe me, Friday night have a bachelor party and a bachelorette party, and let's trade photos on Saturday, okay? So that's why a lot of the photos, it's the majority of the women that share photos. And so what I'll do in situations like that, there's special and unique pizzas that we have that might be tailored to maybe a healthier option or a thin crust option that will promote to women. And then mostly, we could say, game day nights and things like that, guys watching games, and those would be different packaged goods. Now, how do I use that within our networks? It kind of just filters out, and I really don't have a specific plan for that. Just in the marketing, as far as what somebody's specific pizza palette might be calling for, and overall trying to save people money.
For example, I guess because you write a lot of posts for Mashable and things like that, and some of the topics are more tech than not, right? So obviously you want to try to have a diverse. That'd be a great question if you wouldn't mind answering.
Sure. I think for me, my topic is primarily public relations and then new media. So I have kind of an umbrella that I write or talk under, and one is how do we better the PR industry? I talk about nonprofits, and then I share a little bit of myself to build my network and build my identity. So then I don't concentrate on as much as the demographics so much as an audience, which is PR. So it's broken down that way. So that's what my network is primarily composed of, is PR people, journalists, bloggers, and then people who are experts who are looking for ways to get into the media or get source. So I can see trends though in topics that I post about. I can guess I'm probably going to have more female posters on something versus male. I get that. So does that answer?
You do bring up what he asked
Gerald.
does prompt a couple of questions that maybe some of the experts have. Is I'm not sure what the percentage of men versus women are, or male versus female, on each of the networks. the major networks. I do notice that more women tend to be more communicative on several of the groups that we have and offer more detailed discussions and posts. And to help you kind of get a glimpse of the future, I would recommend you take a look at what Olivia and her classmates are doing. When her girlfriends get together, they all bring their laptops. They will sit around the kitchen table, and they will be on webcams sending each other messages. And it's fascinating to see them. There are some boys in her class that do that, but so if you're in the gaming business, certainly pay attention to what her groups are experiencing.
I'm not on the panel, but I do have two boys that love video games. And I would have to say that, the things they're doing, they're on Twitter because they're going to be updates about a game they want to see. So they're being drawn into social media by the games themselves. And also the collaboration with the headsets. It's amazing that they can talk to people around the world. And I know, Olivia, I can see this in your generation. We're going to become so collaborative. And so I think this community thread is just so exciting.
Gerald, you didn't just suggest that a bunch of adults should go on Olivia's site or join her group.
No, she doesn't have a group. But
what? No, but I mean that could get you into trouble, buddy.
Right, exactly. No, adults should try to learn from what the children are doing. I think it's fascinating. As a matter of fact, there should be a webinar where all of us adults are watching what they do and how they interact and so forth. It's fascinating in a real positive way from what I've noticed so far. I mean, every one of her classmates now is getting a laptop that they'll take home with them. And rest assured they'll be communicating during the evening about their homework.
There's a bot to find adults on there. There's a security feature. There's a bot that will search out and can tell if it's an adult.
Yes, okay. Yes, on Webkins and Penguin.
Meaning no adults should be on there.
I have a question, and I have a question. I understand completely how it works for consumer products in the consumer products world. Could the panel give a little discussion about how you might see this working in a business to business, in more industrial type environment, where your customers might be, you might sell something to government, or you might sell something to another business, where the people you're trying to reach out to is trying to sell your product, try to make them aware of what's going on, and they're business people, not individuals.
The best example I know of is from my former employer, Procter & Gamble. And when I used to work at Procter & Gamble, we weren't very open to outside ideas, but now that I'm an alumni and a member of the P&G alumni group on LinkedIn, which has thousands of members, we get continual requests for ideas and suggestions and collaboration opportunities. So where I've noticed on LinkedIn is there's a lot of business-to-business collaboration. Matter of fact, I would say that it's primarily business-to-business collaboration. Okay, and I'm not an expert on those other two yet, so.
So kind of the North American triple threat of that LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, it might not always be appropriate for B2B. And in fact, when we talk about social networking, that's just one component of the larger umbrella of online communities. So for internal communications, there's Yammer, so you can communicate and collaborate that way. For some other companies, they might create a private social network for them and their customers on a tool like Ning. So I don't think that you'd have to... SharePoint, sorry. God, bad. So I don't think you have to push and say my customers aren't on these three sites, so I have to push to get them there. I think there are other online communities you can create and develop. Some may not even exist yet to use it for collaboration or for sales. Like Dell is a great example. They created their own network when their sales were doing very poorly when they got bashed by Jeff Jarvis, and they created Dell Idea Storm, where their customers could go and post about them and vote up ideas that they would then implement in new products and turn that back around. So,
along the same lines, my question is, and Gerald, actually this is good for everybody, what advice would you give someone who wants to start their own social media based community? I mean, Gerald, I know you were sort of ahead of your time with the LinkedIn, but Sarah, you might be able to talk about Facebook, or Katy. I mean, it's all about community. What advice would you give somebody that was just starting out to get community members?
starting out, I think the best way to start a social media community is to really identify who your audience is. And say on Facebook, so you'd want to join numerous Facebook groups or fan pages based around what your business is or what your interests are. So for me, if it's travel, I join numerous Facebook fan pages and groups just based on that, and talk about who I am and what I do, and try and get people over to where I've been. Like, hey, if you love travel, here's a site you may also like. As far as it goes on Twitter, the best thing to do would be to ask questions, like really get creative and ask questions. And if you have a certain interest, like start asking people questions about that interest and see what kind of feedback you get. And then if you're getting certain retweets on those questions, to check out those people and follow those people.
I'm just going to guess it inherent in that question. If you want to build your own community, that it's probably because you want to establish yourself as an expert or a brand within a topic. And I think before you jump on any networks, you should have a strategy in place. And I think part of it is, one, know who you are and know what your brand is. And I jokingly but not will usually refer to the tipping point, and Malcolm Gladwell classifies, influencers, mavens, and salespeople. Just start to get a gauge on know your personality, know your brand, know who you want to communicate with. Is it people who want to talk about the same things as you, what you're looking to do, and very simply what you want to accomplish. Is it to make money? Is it to build a large following? Is it to build up your expertise? And no one needs to see these answers except for you, and this is just a very basic for the beginning of a strategy. But before you jump on, I think you should have some idea of what you want your end goal or your objective to be.
Several things that come to mind for those of you that want to start a group. First of all, I'd recommend to think about focus. I have been always very narrowly focused on a broad topic, and that topic happens to be innovation. And as many of you know, that's a very popular topic these days, and it has been for many years. So all of the 32 groups that I have are specifically focused on innovation. Secondly, to think about branding, so that when people want to go and find your group, we have a specific identity, and one branding expert said we had the best brand on LinkedIn groups in terms of how we package it all together. Someone earlier mentioned the asking questions. We use our Innovators Digest articles as stimulus for questions that are discussed on on the LinkedIn groups. And I've continued to look at how they all interrelate. And so when a post goes up on innovatorsdigest.com, it notifies Twitter, which then goes out to our Twitter followers. Twitter notifies Facebook, which then goes out to the Facebook people as well. And the conversations continue to be circular that way. But I think that every one of you should start your own group on LinkedIn. Even if it's 10 people. It may take you a long time, and it is impossible, I found, to get to very large scale now if you're not early in the pack. But start your own group, and maybe it's the Olivia Haman fan club when she's old enough to be on LinkedIn, just to begin that method.
To me, it's not necessarily all about the numbers. I personally prefer quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. I am blown away at the success. How often do you monitor? I mean, is this what you do most of the day, just on your link? I mean, you've got all these great groups. You've got over 100,000 members. You've got recruiters on there. You've got, all sorts of riffraff. Do you monitor this? I mean, I mean, out of 125,000, I mean.
What we've determined is about 10% of the people and 10% of the discussion comments are what we would call riffraff that you really don't want to have on there. And that is pointed out by some of the group members. I have a group manager for some of the groups. I personally spend about 1 hour a day on LinkedIn-related activities, and I have an assistant that spends a few hours a day on that. One other thing that I failed to mention in terms of advice for the group is think about how the virtual groups relate to live events. And I think the reason we've been successful is most of our members have been to a live event, whether it's a small group at the Thinkubator, or a few years ago I had an event with 8,000 people at the Singapore Stadium. Those people were invited to participate and so forth. And my plans long-term are to link my groups and to bring them together for some live events. You noted in my introduction, I own the website illumination.com. And what I'm planning to do in 2010 is to have a live event where these LinkedIn people will be able to get together for a live event or a series of live events along with a virtual conference as well. And so I think that's been the key to our success, has been the live event connection.
Great. Ramon, do you want to add anything?
I do something pretty unique with incoming freshman students. About 5 years ago, if you did any marketing to university students, your whole goal was to get on a listserv or on a mailer that would come to an incoming freshman student's home in August. Well, now, November, December, any university in the U.S., do a Facebook search for, you could do Northwestern class of 2014. And what's going to happen? November, December, so now you're going to be talking about 8 to 10 months before the start of freshman year. There's going to be there's going to be an incoming group for students attending that university. So what do? I tap into the admins, and I provide them unique specials so that they can provide value to their group. And it's one of the things I've always said about Facebook groups, that the admins of the groups have a major responsibility to provide value to the people within their groups. And you got to figure, you have a kid 17, 18 years old is getting this information from a business owner saying, wow, when you're on campus, these are the deals we got. Check out the videos of stuff we got, and why don't you stop by for a free pizza? All of a sudden, we become the best of friends, and then 6 years later, he's writing for Mashable. So you never know.
Additional questions? Well, actually, yeah, I have another question. Obviously, Ramon, the biggest question that I get, how do you monetize social media? Ramon is selling pizzas, obviously. I'm curious from Katy, Sarah, and Gerald. I mean, obviously, we're in it for, I'm guessing, the W-2, besides being a good person. But tell me about things that you think about when you're using Katy.
So how does where I've been monetize social media? Okay. Well, where I've been is in the travel vertical, and traditionally travel monetizes very well. So one thing I do as the community manager is I broadcast messages that complement our advertising campaigns that we're currently running on the Where I've Been homepage. So recently, actually, we just did a campaign on the Bahamas. So what I would do is I would take those deals that we have and I would push them onto Facebook and Twitter and phrase them in a very desirable way, like, 4 nights in Bahamas, get the 5th night free. And then I would contain a bit.ly link to that Bahamas deal. So, which basically, for putting something like that on Twitter, it causes our user base to go up because people are interested in going to those desirable places. And it obviously causes click-throughs, which results in money.
So I guess your question is, are we making money off of our groups yet?
Right. I mean, with 100,000 people, I mean.
Well, I can tell you, and that my goal from the beginning has not been to profit from the groups. It sounds familiar to most of the social network founders and so forth. But my goal has been to create communities that allow my customers connect with each other and connect with prospective customers. And the value that's been quite high. My accountant tells me that the incremental revenue that we've had over the past year has been several $100,000 of incremental revenue. What I do know is that some people will go on to Amazon.com or our website and buy a no-brainer tool, or they'll attend one of our workshops, which costs $1,500 to attend and so forth. So that adds up. What I think is interesting is to just really think about the ROI that comes from the more solidified relationships that occur over time. Every week we get requests from people that want to buy our list. I had one person offer me $19 per name for one of the groups. I haven't done that. I'm not intending to do that. But there's plenty of opportunity to do that. But my focus right now is to just grow the groups and make sure there's enough value so people want to keep coming back. And I think the ultimate payoff will come when there's some live events that these people participate in.
Do I monetize my time on social networks? And the answer is no. But what I've done is or what my goal is any time someone wants to hire a PR consultant or a new media consultant, I've made a wide enough reach and branded myself good enough that they think of me. So I guess monetization would be a really cool byproduct of someone who met me online and then decides to hire me, but I'm not monetizing from my participation online.
We know what your answer is, Ramon.
Ramon, since you are B2C, do you actually have some data tracking what the incremental increase in sales has been from?
Yes, we do, but the SEC guidelines prohibit me from answering that. Thanks.
Sarah, you mentioned building a strategy before you begin to engage, and in trying to help clients build strategies, one of the roadblocks that I come into is they're a little trigger shy in actually beginning to engage because they're worried about negative feedback, and I'm wondering what everybody's experience is with negative feedback or a specific story where they were able to.
You're standing right next to my biggest story of negative feedback and turning situation around. For those that don't know, April 21st, Amy vented the fact that we got one of her pizzas wrong. It was more of a vent, not a Comcast cares my service is not working. My alerts brought me to her tweet about an hour after she tweeted it. The following day, I went to the store. We made a video apology, posted it, sent it to her, floored her. We wowed her. We took care of it. We went above and beyond. That video has been embedded 86,000 times since April 21st. Hopefully, every embed's gotten 10 views. That video is going to kick 900 to 1 million views very soon. And people have blogged about it. Those like Jackie Huber from the Church of the Customer, flooring the customer. People that analyze customer service and have blogged about it in multiple languages. I've seen it in Swedish, Spanish, German, and characters that. So some negative feedback, if you're open and transparent and you guide it, if you do have a plan on how to handle that kind of stuff, can really provide your customers and the rest of the world and say, hey, you know what? Their money back guarantee, their whatever your policies are do work, and that's an excellent time for it to be tested.
I think one of the first things you can say to the client or the customer is these people are having the conversations with you or without you. It's just because you're not online doesn't mean that they're not going to be having the conversation. And Ramon brings up, the other thing that I usually tell them is, I'll give the example of Dell Idea Storm, but people are out there talking many times because they just want to be listened to. If you're familiar with customer service principles, there are the walkers and the talkers. And the people who are talking about you, if you can turn them around, I'm assuming, Amy, you've ordered from Domino since? Yeah. Okay. Have you become, a kind of a word of mouth ambassador for them?
I sure have.
And that's a perfect win, and that's an example. Now you're going to get the people that you're just, 7% of the population you're just never going to make happy or something. So have a plan with them who you're going to respond to and who you're not going to respond to, but I think that's like the best example ever.
There are quite a few negative comments that are brought up in discussions, and I get regular complaints from some members about certain postings. And within LinkedIn, they have the option to go ahead and remove posts, or other members can do that as well. So every time there's some negative comment, I look at that as an invitation for some creative thinking to come up with a solution to address it. So some of the questions that I pose to the groups actually are designed to elicit feedback on things they do not like about the group or things that they do not like in certain situations within the group. So I like having negative feedback. It's
Great.
good for
Gerald,
the.
that's very good to hear.
Wait till you read the May report next. Yeah.
Well, unlike Ramon, obviously, Where I've Been doesn't sell anything physical. But again, same as Gerald, it's almost like any talk is good talk about your company, even if it is negative. So what I do as community manager is I definitely reach out to every single person who said something and said, hey, I'm sorry, obviously, that you've had a bad experience. What can I do to help? What advice can you give me, if any? How can we improve our product? So.
Great. We have to wrap up right now. I know these guys are going to be downstairs. Just a couple quick things. There's a lot of beer and wine and plenty of pizza left over downstairs, so make sure. After this, we're going across the street right to the Merchandise Mart, a place called Blueprint. Right on the in the front, they've got some drink specials for us. Two more things. If you like tonight, Obviously, join our Facebook group. Mark down December 8th is the next time we're going to get together. And if you've got some ideas of some creative programs, for sure, hit myself up, Barb, Amy, Tim. For sure, ping us anything you want. And Barb?
Just a few details. It's December 8th, and we're going to be at CME Group. It's going to be, the theme, I think, is going to be Twitterati for the holidays. So it's going to be kind of a party. Make sure that is on your must-attend list.
CME Group over
You know
10
that,
South Wacker.
yeah. So anyway, I just want to thank you all for being so attentive. I don't know about you, but I got a ton out of the panel, and we're just so thrilled that you could be here with us. Let's everybody give the panelists a round of applause. Thank you so much.